Welcome to tonight's National Rundown. Trump's tariffs are wreaking havoc, but he says it's all a part of a bigger plan. Meanwhile, France's president is calling for suspension of investment in the United States. That's up next.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly, and you can too. Share your heart, share your love. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
I'm Jaden Parenti.
And I'm Essence Holman. President Donald Trump employs tariffs across nearly all foreign countries. Experts expect costs to be passed to consumers. Trump has deployed a baseline 10% increase on all foreign goods, but has levied tariffs as high as 50% against select countries. The leaders of many countries have responded negatively to this action. Japan, a longtime American ally, has called their 25% tariffs extremely regrettable. Economists say that this will cost American consumers and raise the price of imported goods such as alcohol, fuel, and even produce. French President Emmanuel Macron is urging European companies to stop investments in the U.S. after new tariffs were forced on EU exports. He called the tariffs brutal and unfounded and warned that Europe might retaliate, possibly targeting U.S. tech firms. European leaders have criticized the move, with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen advocating for negotiations but promising countermeasures if talks fail. The tariffs have also caused economic concerns, with stock markets reacting negatively and economists warning of potential recession's risk.
President Trump says the United States will respond to a rare plea for help from the military rulers of Myanmar. That country and neighboring Thailand were hit with a magnitude 7.8 earthquake. At least 150 people were killed. Anna Corin has the latest.
The terrifying roar of 30 stories crumbling to the ground as construction workers in Thailand's capital, Bangkok, run for their lives, with dozens of their colleagues feared buried under multiple slabs of concrete. The epicenter in neighbouring Myanmar and its second largest city, Mandalay, home to more than 1 million people. Temples and mosques filled with worshippers reduced to rubble. Multiple bridges collapsed, while plumes of thick black smoke engulfed Mandalay University. The major hospital in Myanmar's capital, Naypyidaw, was described by officials as a mass casualty area. Hundreds of miles away, the earthquake was felt as destructively in Thailand, with eyewitnesses reporting violent shaking lasting up to a minute in Bangkok. This high-rise city of 17 million people feeling the full force of the tremors. Rooftop pools turned into waterfalls, while residents terrified of more aftershocks refused to go back indoors. As emergency crews worked through the night to find survivors, the discovery of lifeless bodies a grim reminder of the recovery operation that lies ahead. Anna Corin, CBS News.
The stock market plummets following the announcement of Trump's tariffs. The Dow dropped 16,000 points, or 4%, while S&P 500 dropped 4.8%. A drop this large has been unprecedented since the COVID-19 pandemic 6 years ago. This accounts to over hundreds of billions of dollars being lost in market value between Apple and Nvidia alone. Despite this, Trump claims that the markets are going to boom as a result, and many Republicans claim that the economy is only going to falter for some time. Coming up after the break, a Pentagon watchdog investigates Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over using Signal for military strike discussions.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchool.com.
The Pentagon's Inspector General launches an investigation into Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's use of the Signal messaging app to discuss a U.S. military strike in Yemen. The probe will examine whether Hegseth and other officials violated Department of Defense policies on secure communications, classified information, and record retention. Senate Armed Services Committee leaders requested the investigation, raising concerns that sensitive military plans were discussed on an unclassified platform. A TikTok ban is on the table once again. Here's more with Michael.
How you doing, Michael?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Right. So there's a potential TikTok ban happening right now. That's potentially going to happen on April 4th, and basically, unless its Chinese-owned parent company ByteDance is able to sell it to a U.S. Operation before then TikTok will definitely be banned by the end of this week.
So, are there any potential buyers out there right now, Michael?
Yes, actually, Amazon has just put in a last-minute bid to purchase TikTok for about $20 billion. Amazon made their offer in a letter penned to Vice President J.D. Vance and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Other potential buyers include Mr. Beast and a group of American investors, as well as cryptocurrency foundation HBAR and Zoop.
So the TikTok ban has happened a few times before. When was the last time something similar happened?
So the last time a potential TikTok ban happened was actually back on the chopping block this year on January 19th. This was a day just before President Trump had taken office for his second term. Now, the app was gone for 14 hours as a Supreme Court ruling to ban the app was going into effect, and then shortly after we saw the app being restored.
Okay, and how many people were affected by the ban?
Right, so roughly 170 million Americans would be affected by a TikTok ban, and that would be because that would be pretty catastrophic across the board. And the main reason why that would be is because influencers would not be the ones who are just the ones to suffer. Also, it would hurt small business owners who use the platform to boost their sales up and advertise, but also creators and people in general, like you and I, who have friends on the app who are overseas, or use the app to rely on critical information and to get their daily news from the app itself.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We'll see you later. Several senior National Security Council staffers, including Senior Director for Intelligence Ryan Walsh, Senior Director for Legislative Affairs Thomas Boudry, and Senior Director David Feith, have been dismissed following a meeting between President Trump and right-wing activist Laura Loomer. Loomer presented research alleging these officials were insufficiently loyal to the president's agenda. The firings have raised concerns about political loyalty tests within the NSC. A slew of new movies are announced at CinemaCon, including many anticipated sequels. More details after the break.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
CinemaCon announces Scream 7, Sonic 4, and more today. Movie studios including Paramount, Universal, and DreamWorks have announced a slew of new sequels to be released throughout the next few years. Spider-Man fans have a lot to look forward to, with Spider-Man 2026 starring Tom Holland getting a 2026 release date, and the third Spider-Verse film being announced for 2027.
A 17-year-old student is charged with murder in the fatal stabbing of another student at a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas. Police say the incident occurred on Wednesday morning at Frisco Memorial High's stadium during the school's track and field championship that involved other schools within the district. Police say that despite life-saving measures by police and fire personnel, the 17-year-old victim died.
Now, let's head over to our Sports Center with a lively discussion about some of the latest headlines in the world of sports.
Hello, everybody, and good day today. I'm here with Dan T and Tyler, and today we're just going to be talking about the ongoing MLB debate of the torpedo bats. So what do you guys think about them?
I think that the whole situation is being overblown in general. I don't think the bat really adds much value. I will say it adds more pop, definitely. You can see that with guys who aren't big home run hitters, like Volpe, for example. He's not known as a home run guy. But for the guys like, well, Aaron Judge doesn't even use it, but Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, they've been there, they've done that. Belly was an MVP candidate a long time ago. I mean, even Alec Boehm used it, I believe, on Monday in the game and hit a single, you know? It's not that big of a deal. The whole problem was the Yankees were doing it, as the Brewers relievers said, and the problem with that was the fact that the Brewers were throwing them meatballs straight down the middle. So,
well, I can tell you one person who does have a problem with those torpedo bats, and that's Nestor Cortez. That man let off, what was it, 4 home runs to start the game, back to back. Those were no doubters. So, I mean, they're not breaking the rules. It's just, I think it was an MIT graduate that came up with the idea of the bat to make it more streamlined and to make it more. I guess if people hit it towards the handle, why not shift the barrel towards the handle? It just, if there's nothing wrong and they're not, I don't think they broke the rules for how large the barrel of the bat actually is. Why not let them have some fun with it? I mean, baseball needs some changes. Baseball needs to stay fresh. They need to come up with ways to compete with all these different leagues with their different rules and make baseball interesting. So if a torpedo bat makes the game interesting, why get rid of it?
I definitely agree. You know, the bat was definitely approved by the MLB. And there's more than just Yankees players using it. As you touched on, Alec Boehm used it, and plenty of other players used it, like Ellie De La Cruz and things like that. So, I mean, again, like how you said, the Phillies got a shipment of them on Monday, you know what I'm saying? So to touch on what you guys were saying, like it's not the bat, it's all about the swing. Even the MIT grad who actually made that bat actually said that, like, you know what I'm saying? I'll take credit, you know what I'm saying, for helping, improving on the hitting, but it's still about the grind that they put in every day. And so I do agree with you both that the situation is overblown. And on to the next topic, we're gonna move on to the NBA. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony, one of my lifelong favorite players to watch in the NBA. He is a finalist for the for the 2025 Hall of Fame class. What do you guys think about this?
I think well deserved, obviously. 20-year career, played majority with the Nuggets and Knicks. Really remember first time with the Knicks, especially that game winner against to send it to overtime against Taj Gibson with the Bulls, then eventually won the game in overtime. But like I said, well deserved. I mean, he's been one of the best players probably of our 2010s, late 2000s, 2010s. So just, we'll see a lot more guys that we kind of grew up with get there, like Chris Paul, Bron, obviously, and D Wade, the rest of that Banana Boat crew.
I completely agree. I mean, what Carmelo Anthony did, not only just for the game of basketball, not only just for the record books for Team USA, he did it. What he did, importantly, he did for the culture. The culture was severely impacted with him and all the changes that he was able to make to the game, and his style and his swagger and the way that he just totally encompassed the way that New York was. New York was Melo. Like those two things went hand in hand with each other. And even as a Sixers fan, it was so fun to even just tune in and watch. Like, you have to watch Melo. Yeah. Like, we're talking about a guy that would just take over games. And he would literally just hone in on, if he wanted to score, he was going to score. So I think he had a game where he was 60 points, 0 assists, 0 blocks, 0 everything. All he did was score. So if he really wanted to win, he did. And he carried some not very good Knicks teams to very far in the playoffs. So congratulations to him for even making it this far.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Shout out to Melo. It was definitely well deserved, and hopefully he gets in. The 2025 class will be announced on April 4th on Saturday. And on to our next topic, we just want to get into the MVP race in the NBA. Who do you guys think should win the MVP and why?
I got to go with Shea, just as a Sixers fan. I mean, I've grown tired of seeing Jokic win it, just personally. I got voter fatigue for him, but what Shea's been doing with OKC, top team in the West, has just been incredible, and it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I got to go with Jokic on this one for me personally. Voter fatigue or not, this man has been in the race 5 years in a row. Only lost once, arguably should have beat Joel Embiid for that MVP, even as a Sixers fan. It might have been a sympathy MVP. Jokic deserved that just as much as Joel did. And so in an alternate universe, we could be talking about Jokic possibly having 5 MVPs in a row. So, and now I think with Jokic, I think we have to then transcend the MVP conversation to then the GOAT conversation. At what point do we classify him with the GOAT? Like, carried the Nuggets to a championship. Now he's in another running for an MVP. I think Shea will end up winning. I think they're going to try to go with a guard here, just to try to mix up. And Shea is unguardable, no doubt. 33 points a game, and just anywhere in the mid-range he can get to his shots, and you can't keep him off the free throw line. He just will get to the free throw line 10, 12, 15 times a game. So, but in this case, 60 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists for Jokic the other night. I got to go with that.
All right. I appreciate you guys' input. This is Sports Prop Huddle, and back to you at the desk.
After the break, we're going to the roundtable to talk about Cory Booker and his historic filibuster.
Got a quarter?
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Cory Booker made history last Tuesday after breaking the record for the longest Senate speech, and much has been said about it. Michael is here with us to discuss Booker's achievement.
Right, so I think it's really interesting how Cory Booker was able to hold that Senate floor for about, what was it, more than 25 hours,
yeah, 25
right?
hours, 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a really long. He went and sought out to break the previous record, which was, Jaden, who was it set by, if you remember correctly?
It was Strom Thurmond, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. It was in, what was that? 1960.
1960. Yeah, that was.
And that was broken by. He was trying to avoid the civil rights laws being passed.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah, that was
1957 Act.
1957 Act. Now, he was there for quite a while. I'm sure he had like he had to have some preparation for it, no?
Yes.
Does anybody know anything about that?
As far as the preparations for Cory Booker's speech, basically he relied on his faith, his Christianity faith. So he was doing fasting, rigorous fasting, no water, no food, from Friday to Monday. And with him doing that, I'm pretty sure he, consulted with God and stuff like that. Even before this speech, he also had a prayer with Reverend Senior Raphael Warnock. Really? So basically, in all of it, he just relied on his faith, so whereas though he could stand up before the people and really focus on what he had to do. As far as faith, and then separate as faith, he also was aware of the timing of Strom Thurmond, the Civil Rights Act of 1957, which actually lasted 24 hours and 18 minutes. But one thing that was interesting to me was that he had a Bible scripture in his pocket, because he didn't really want to have like weighted pockets during this speech, so he could stand up properly. But he had this Bible scripture, Isaiah 40:31. Basically, it's they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. So basically, he's relying on God to, say what he has to say, be focused, and just stand up in front of the people to give them the best speech that they can have.
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear about him having that in his pocket.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's quite interesting. I know faith is really important to him, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, faith is really important to me as well. I kind of try to practice it in my own daily life. So I found it really interesting that he was able to hold the Senate floor for that long. And with that, there has to come, I would imagine, some after effects. I found it really interesting that he had cramps, muscle cramps, and he had muscle spasms throughout his speech. Those muscle spasms, are from dehydration, because he wasn't drinking water, if you guys were aware.
Right.
Because if he was drinking water, he would have had to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah, and he went that long without having to go to the bathroom, which is quite surprising. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have to have water, at least maybe 3 glasses a day. At best.
Yeah, and
so
you can see him struggling there too at certain points. You can see at the end. I was watching towards the end, and you can see him struggling to hold it. He was still doing a great job, but struggling to hold it towards the end there. You can see it was taking a toll on him.
Yeah.
You're
So when he walked off the floor, he said he felt achy and he felt tired, but very grateful for his time, of course, for being a champion for his people of the state of New Jersey. And then not only that, but I think, if I remember correctly, the National Academies of Science and Engineering and Medicine actually recommends that most men consume about 3.7 liters of water a week, and that equates to 16 cups. And they also recommend that we, as individuals, drink about 6 to 8 cups. That's more than I drink in a day.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to work on that, guys. That's one of my New Year's resolutions. But yeah, it was really interesting to me. I mean, what do you guys think about that? The fact that he didn't have to go to the bathroom. I mean,
I think he's a superhero.
Really?
If you ask me, I think he's Superman. He's close to Superman, because there's no way.
I think it's impressive. I know there's a lot of people who have varying opinions on the effectiveness of the filibuster, but I think that the clear physical pain that he undergone and the clear sacrifice he made with his own body, I think speaks for something at least.
Oh no, yeah, totally. I definitely respect that, and I can acknowledge that as well. Yeah. But he was very, very dedicated man. Another thing that I kind of noticed was the fact that dehydration also can lead to electrolytes being imbalanced. So he,
Yep.
you know, those electrolytes, if not, you guys don't really know, they're kind of like what that is potassium levels. Those are sodium levels and such magnesium as well. Like those things can cause muscle cramps. So I would imagine, he hasn't said anything yet, but I would imagine that also went into play here, and some of those were affected. So I think he should be good, and I hope to see him recover from that.
Yeah, this also shows that when you're doing fasting of any sort, because I actually do fasting time to time,
Really?
you have to be careful and you have to actually be disciplined, because if you intake too much water, it can mess up your kidneys. If you don't intake too much water, it can mess up your kidneys. So you have to know your body, also as well as learning your body, so you could, you know, give the best that you have during the fasting. Because a lot comes with it. You got dizziness, you can faint, you could pass out. So you really have to be aware of what you're doing and how much you're intaking, or, you know, basically what Cory Booker did, you know, get everything together.
Do you know how long did he give up water for? I know he said it was the day before he started, so that would have been, what, I mean, almost 2 days at that point by the time it ended. Yeah.
2 days, that's crazy. I could not go that long. Well, I think that about does it for today, right?
Yes. Yes, yes.
All right. I'm going to go right to a commercial break.